G'day Gear Junkies, Jason here. I'm by no means a gear snob. If you can get a tone that you like out of something that costs 50 bucks, then who cares what other people think? On this channel, I've demoed several budget pedals that I've really enjoyed. So with that in mind, I decided to get my hands on the NUX Amp in a Box Reissue Series so that I can answer the question, are they any good? But before I begin, if you like this kind of content, please subscribe. And if you want to help this channel out, you can go to the Middle Age Gear Junkie store and purchase some merchandise, or you can also support me through Patreon, where I'm uploading additional content and previews to my upcoming videos. Thanks a lot. I'm going to use two different guitars for this demo. I'm going to use my standard Telecaster for the lower gain pedals and my Cort M600 for the higher gain pedals. Now, because we're looking at budget products, I'm going to use my cheapest amplifier, which is the orange Terrace amp. I've set up a nice clean tone with it, and I'm going to use the same clean tone throughout the entire demo. Currently, this series consists of 6 amp in a box pedals, an analog chorus and an analog delay, but I'm going to focus just on the amp in a box pedals. I bought all of them secondhand except for this one, which I bought brand new because it's the newest of them, which is the 63 Diamond. This is obviously based on the VOX AC-30. This pedal has 3 controls and a switch. It has volume and master, so if that's confusing, basically your volume is like your gain control and then your master is your overall volume that comes out of the pedal. The cut control, so with it all the way down, it's basically inactive, and as you start to wind it up, you start to lose some of that brilliant top end. The top boost, I think is supposed to simulate the top boost channel on the AC-30, so in the up position it's on, in the down position it's off. So one of the things I love about the AC-30 is how articulate and detailed it sounds, especially when you're playing single note parts or when you want to arpeggiate chords and things like that. It really makes them stand out. So I'm going to come up with a kind of cleanish sound first with this. So I'm going to turn the volume down and use more of the master. I'm going to have it in the top boost mode and cut a little bit of the extra top end. The AC-30 really is the sound of the British invasion and that classic rock sound of the 1960s. So I'm going to get a 60s style rock tone by leaving it in top boost mode, but I'm going to turn the volume or gain up a bit, and I'm going to start to wind in a bit of the cut, because I find the more drive you've got, the more you want to cut some of those upper frequencies. Brian May is one of the most well-known users of the VOX AC-30, so I'm sure a lot of you are wondering if it does those kinds of tones. I don't have one of his signature guitars, but I'll give it a shot using my Tele. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the top boost off, because he runs his tone through the normal channel of the amplifier, not the top boost. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to slam as much of the gain into it as possible. Next up, we have the Plexi Crunch, which is a Marshall and a box style pedal. The controls we have are master, which is for your overall volume, preamp, which is your gain control. We have a tone control, which really sort of focuses the mid-range of this pedal, and then the presence, which is kind of your upper pick attack frequencies. Because it's got so much sort of aggressive mid-range and gain, I think it's perfect for punk rock. criticism of this pedal is that it has too much gain. So if you know anything about the Marshall Plexis, they are a medium gain amplifier. They're not a heavy gain amplifier by any stretch. Now, even with the gain rolled all the way down on this pedal, it's still fairly crunchy. I would like it to just be that sort of slightly broken clean sound when I wind the gain all the way down. And it doesn't really do that tone without me having to roll the volume off on my guitar. Once you get the preamp over halfway, it just becomes really squishy sort of sounding. So for me, all of the usable tones for this pedal are in the first half of the gain sweep. Next, we have the 65 Overdrive. This is based on the Fender Deluxe Reverb amplifier. Now, I was really interested to find out if this could do the sort of Fender cleans, because the 65 is really renowned as a great clean platform. And so what I've done for the first example here is I'm going to turn the gain all the way down and just use the level control and see if it provides me with a sort of Fender-esque clean tone. Now you notice that I had the bass control all the way down. I just found with the lower gain settings on this pedal that the bass was far too thick and woolly. So that was one of the issues I had with it. I also had to turn the treble up a bit just to get a bit of extra clarity. Small Fender combos were really popular in the LA scene back in the 70s because you could crank them right up to get them to overdrive without killing a room full of people. So I'm going to go for that kind of tone. I can turn the bass up now because I found that when I turn the gain up a bit further, it actually needs to be balanced out by a bit of extra bottom end. And I'll see if I can get some classic 70s LA tones. Next, we've got the XTC OD. This is based on the Bogner XTC amplifier on the red channel, which is the higher gain channel. I also have it in pedal form. Now, this is a high gain distortion. It's not an overdrive at all. Most of the distortion is in the first half of the gain sweep, and then after that, it's just more thickness and compression. What I found with this pedal is I have to run the tone control right of the way up. It's quite thick sounding. Once I get that tone control up, it starts to bring out a bit more of the clarity. Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains was probably the most well-known user of Bogner amplifiers. feel as though this pedal has one sound, which is that high gain searing tone. If that's what you're after, then I think this actually does a pretty good job. Next, we've got the Steel Singer Drive. This is based on a pedal by Vertex Effects, which was modeled on the Steel String Singer amplifier by Dumble. Now, unlike the Fender pedal, when I run the gain all the way down, it doesn't really give me a modified clean. It actually has a small amount of drive with it all the way down. That actually did disappoint me a little bit because the Steel String Singer is known as a clean amplifier. If you wanted dirty Dumble sounds, you went for the Overdrive Special. Once again, I had to run the tone control, or the filter control in this case, almost all the way up to get a bit of clarity because it was a fairly dark sounding pedal I found. After playing this for a while, I really wanted to try the out of phase tone that you get on a Stratocaster. I know I said I'd only played 2 guitars for this demo, but I couldn't help myself. Last up, we have the Recto Distortion, which is based on the Mesa Dual Rectifier Solo Head. This is an amplifier that I have a lot of experience with. It really was the sound of the late 90s and early 2000s in hard rock. The controls on the pedal are gain, master, high and low EQ. Now with the EQ, I've had to run the high control pretty much all the way up all of the time, and I've had to run the bass almost all the way down all of the time. It's just an incredibly thick and muddy sounding distortion. This pedal has so much in the way of low mids that I actually thought I was on the neck pickup there for a while when I was playing on this guitar. It did kind of remind me a little bit of the kind of mud tone that Korn used to get on their first couple of albums. Here's a quick comparison of 4 of the NUX pedals against the amplifiers that they were based on. So out of all of them, the 63 Diamond was my favorite, which is kind of ironic because my VOX AC-30 is the amp that I probably use the least out of my amp collection. But I thought it did a really good job of those sort of AC-30 rock tones especially. It doesn't have quite as much top end as an actual AC-30, but you know, it's a 9-volt little box, so if you expect it to, you're expecting too much. But yeah, really good rock tones, sounded great with my Telecaster. I tried stacking other overdrives with it on my pedal board and compression and all that sort of stuff, and it sounded great. Also, I really like the aesthetic design of this. It looks like the control panel and the sort of diamond covering of an AC-30. They did a great job with this pedal. The Steel Singer was also really cool. It's a really smooth overdrive, as you would expect from a D-style overdrive. I tried stacking this with other pedals again on my pedal board, and I really liked the tones I was getting. I was having a lot of fun with it. Couple of drawbacks. One, it doesn't clean right up when you turn the gain all the way down. That was a little bit disappointing. The Steel String Singer, if you know anything about it, the clean sound is like a Fender clean on steroids, and I was hoping I could get something like that, but it definitely has a sound, and I had a lot of fun playing it. I thought the 65 Overdrive was a lot of fun as well. I liked how you could get a clean sound out of it, and it sounded pretty good as well. However, the bass control is just a bit too thick, and I think that was a common problem with most of these pedals, that just had too much bottom end, and it really just cuts down the clarity on them. But I also enjoyed the overdrive sound from this, and it did sound like a small Fender combo overdrive. I enjoyed the Plexi Crunch. It had that sort of mid-range Marshall thing that you would expect. I recently did a video about the Marshall 1959 Super Lead pedal that they brought out, and I enjoyed that so much, I actually went out and bought a Plexi amplifier. And that pedal works a bit different to this one. What I noticed is that the presence control kind of acts like the high treble channel on a Plexi amplifier. And if you don't know what that means, please watch the video that I did about the recent Marshall pedal. The biggest disappointment for me with this pedal is that it had too much gain, especially down low. So when I turned the gain right down, I wanted to be able to get a slightly broken overdrive sound that I could manipulate with my picking velocity. However, when I turned the gain all the way down, it was still fairly crunchy. So yeah, I mean, for me, that's kind of something I like to do with a Plexi style pedal. If you want to see me do a comparison between this and the recent Marshall Super Lead pedal, I'd be prepared to do that if you guys want to see that. With the two higher gain pedals, I much preferred the XTC over the Recto, and that was only once I got the tone control right up. So by turning it almost all the way up, it gives me a bit extra sizzle and negates some of the thick bottom end, which a lot of these pedals had. The Recto, it just was incurable. So even with the treble all the way up and the bass all the way down, it was still super thick and really undefined. So out of all of them, this one was the biggest disappointment. I really couldn't make this sound any better with my guitar amp combo today. So if you have any of these pedals at home, let me know and tell me about what sorts of tones you like to get out of them. Also, if you want to leave a comment below and tell me about what other series of budget pedals you'd like me to get a hold of, and I'll do that if I can. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you want to support this channel, you can go to the Middle Age Gear Junkie store and purchase some merchandise, or you can support me through Patreon. The links are in the description below. Other than that, my name is Jason. Have a wonderful day. See you later.